Hi, welcome to another video. This is actually part 2 or companion to the last video we made. Last video I showed you how to make a wedding ceremony arrangement. I thought it would be fun to show you how to make a tall centerpiece. I'm sure you've seen a lot of these really over-the-top tall centerpieces and you probably wonder how you make it. I'm going to show you how to do that today. So let's get started. What we're using today is a 9-inch acrylic tray and about a 3/4 block of floral foam taped down with wool tape. Now, this whole arrangement I'm going to make is going to go on top of a tall vase. This is a vase we're going to use later, and it's going to sit on top. So when you do tall arrangements, it's really a two-part arrangement. You do an arrangement, you place it on top of a tall vase or pedestal. We don't usually arrange in the vase itself. So let's get started. So the trick with this type of arrangement is covering your foam. There's a big block of foam here that we have to cover all sides because it's going to be all visible. So what we're going to start with is graining in. I have a lot of this beautiful variegated and non-variegated pitosprim. We'll start with that. And what we do is we cut sort of shorter pieces and get a little closer to the foam, and it covers better. So we're just going to go over the green on all sides. Especially important to make sure your tape joints are covered. In my wedding business, I've made maybe thousands of tall arrangements. So this is something we often do. A lot of weddings, we're doing half tall arrangements and half low arrangements. This would be wonderful if you're a home designer designing for yourself. This could be a great thing to use on a buffet or something really special if you're having a fancier party and you want a centerpiece that really stuns. And it could actually go in the middle of a buffet too, because it's going to be a very large arrangement. It takes a lot of greenery. Oops. Okay. Hydrangeas are your friend when you're doing these kind of arrangements because they do cover a lot. So I have some beautiful white imported hydrangeas here. And if you cut your hydrangeas sort of short, they really do cover the foam really well. So I'm adding in the hydrangeas now. If you have smaller hydrangeas, use them at the top. And the larger ones, I like to set them a little deeper in the foam because that'll help you cover it really well. Okay, there's 3 stems there. 3 more stems here. When I do these tray arrangements, I set it on a little pedestal. This is just a cylinder vase. The reason I do that is that I can see better where I need more material to cover. Whereas if it's just sitting on the table itself, I won't be able to see as much. These white hydrangeas are wonderful. These are imported, I think, from Colombia. You get them year-round. Remember the old days when there were no hydrangeas in the winter? I suffer from hydrangea withdrawal in my wedding work because you grow so dependent on using hydrangeas to fill up space. I have some of these beautiful lacy Annabelle hydrangeas that I cut from my garden. I'm going to add some of that in since we have it in the large ceremony arrangement in the last video. Since these are going to be companion pieces, I'm going to add some of the Annabelles in here just for that continuity. We're going to go ahead and use some of our large polka roses. Look at these giant roses here. I'm trying to think if I need to cut them shorter to use or cut them use them as a sprig. I'm going to keep them as a sprig. This would be a shame to cut them, right? Let's stick them down here. Okay. This stem here has a lot of buds. I'm going to put that at the top. This is flopping over a little. Put it right here. So we're using pretty much the same colors and materials as the last video, since this is all part of the same wedding. I think we have just enough polka to do this arrangement. Go ahead and use some of our beautiful white pure perfume roses as well, just like the last video. Okay. I like to use the buds sometimes on top, just so you have some pretty lines on at the top of your arrangement, so it's not too much of a rounded arrangement. So sometimes we'll save the buds and put them on top. Okay. Gorgeous. Now, obviously, we don't always have these huge sprigs of pure perfume roses or polka. What I've often done in weddings is we'll buy Ecuadorian roses that have large heads, wait till they fully open for that garden rose look. And there are varieties that open better than others. And then I'll buy spray roses to use as accents to kind of create this garden rose feel with buds and full blooming roses, even though I'm not using garden roses. I actually don't use my own roses very often for wedding work because it's just unreliable, and the quantities you need are just astronomical compared to what we do for our home. But for the home and to show you with one arrangement, it was nice to use these beautiful roses I had blooming in the garden. And you all know by now that I'm very partial to my own homegrown roses. They just have so much charm. Okay. When doing these tall arrangements, you have to keep in mind that they're going to be viewed sort of overhead. So it's important for it to be pretty on top, but more important for it to be pretty from the sides, because that's where most of it will be seen, is from the sides or even below. That's why I want to elevate it off the surface, my work surface, so that I can really see what I'm doing. Okay. And it's nice to have it cascading down a little bit. Add in a little bit of the Alstroemeria just to finish it off around the base here. I'm going to squat down here to make sure that all the foam is covered. So yeah, this is what we do for a lot of our weddings, a lot of these tall arrangements on different props that we have, like candelabras, geometric stands, vases. Then I'm going to come back in here and use some of these small green hydrangeas that I have cut. Instead of more greenery, I'm going to see if I can use some of these broccoli hydrangeas around the perimeter of the vase. And once again, I'm going to go down and see where I need some. And I love that fresh pop of green. Since we had the viburnum in the other arrangement, I figure some of this broccoli hydrangea will give you that same pale, fresh green so that the two arrangements match. My hydrangeas are starting to bloom, the Annabelles, and I have a lot of hydrangeas in my front garden, mostly like periwinkle, lavender, because I stopped putting acid down just to see what the hydrangeas look like. They used to be all blue, and since I stopped adding acid to the hydrangeas, they're now sort of a lavender periwinkle, and I find that I use that color more than the blue hydrangeas. But I do like that there are all these different colors on my hydrangeas in front since I stopped adding the acid. We'll have some lavender, some periwinkle, some pale blue, and some pinker lavender, sort of like a lilac-y color. So they're all useful. Haven't had really great success growing white hydrangeas other than these Annabelles. Okay, I think we're mostly done. I'm gonna go and see if we need to add any more greenery. I think I'll add a little bit of greenery in the perimeter just so that the foam absolutely won't be showing. And to add a little bit of wider base to our arrangement. Because you always want to make sure that your arrangement is big enough for the vase you're going to put it on. The taller the vase, the larger the arrangement needs to be, because you just don't want a little tiny arrangement on top of a tall vase, what I call like a lollipop arrangement. Sort of an art, not a science. I don't have perfect proportions for that, but you'll get a feel for it. Just over greening in just because I don't want there to be any bald spots when we elevate this arrangement on a tall base. Okay. Okay, I think we're pretty much done. So I'm going to set this aside here. I'm going to show you something really cool we're going to do with our tall trumpet vase. Not quite a trumpet vase. I don't know what shape you would call this, but this is a beautiful vase with a gold stem. And here's something we've been doing with our arrangements, just because, you know, I don't want this to be totally empty inside. You do want it to be empty so that people can see through when they're seated at a table, but you want something interesting in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 strands of fairy lights in here. These fairy lights are awesome. I use them all the time for all sorts of things, especially during Christmas time. When I show you Christmas videos, you'll see these fairy lights all the time. These are battery-operated fairy lights. They're on a wire. I'm gonna turn them on. They have a little tiny battery pack here that will hide perfectly in the stem. The stem is hollow, so look at that. I'm gonna put that in here. I'm gonna add another strand. And they last many, many hours on the 2 small batteries. They're very inexpensive. You can buy them on Amazon for about, I would say, $2 each. The more you buy, the cheaper they are. And so you've got the beautiful fairy lights, and then voila, you place your arrangement on top. And that's how you do a tall overhead centerpiece. This is a wonderful thing if you want to do a super special centerpiece for a wedding, for a special party, for the holidays, or I'm going to place it in my living room. You can see it just as a beautiful arrangement on a table.